Alright, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. We are almost to an hour of this video left. Have I forgotten anything? Oh no. Oh no!
Go order it!
The people just want to
Ethernet
games
ports
and they're
last
fan
year
of a game.
did something online, and it was a total shit show.
Alright, let's talk about this crapshoot that was pre-ordering the Xenoblade Special Edition. Because it will definitely go down in one of Nintendo's biggest fails of 2022, along with a bunch of other things. Before I get to this though, I will say that I live in America, and I got to experience firsthand what the tragedies it felt like to try and even get this thing. The rest of the world, besides a few countries, would follow suit after that, and I do deeply apologize to the Europeans who will eventually go through the same crappy process as America did. So let's get started. First off, this is in no shape or form Monolith Soft's fault. They were not in charge of pre-order timing and stock. This was just all Nintendo of America, and whoever manages the My Nintendo store, dear God, that awful store. Ugh. In case anyone wasn't aware, back in the beginning of February, Nintendo changed their entire storefront to the My Nintendo store, which is one of the biggest mistakes Nintendo has made this year. Because one, Nintendo oversimplified so much of this store. One of the biggest things is the cart button, where it would just bring down a freaking drop-down menu when you could hover over it, like the previous iteration did. Instead, you have to click on a cart icon just to even access your stuff. And just more on this later, because it will get even worse from that. All of that is just having an oversimplified, bug-filled website that I feel only get maintenance every few hours. Nintendo's store site is just infamous for selling physical products on its page. For instance, the Nintendo 64 online controller, which you can only get when you have an NSO plus expansion pack membership, was put on the website a few days after the expansion pack's announcement. Take a wild guess as to what happened next. If you guess the website crashing so often that people can't even hit the pre-order button, eventually selling everything out in a few hours, then you are correct. In fact, this didn't happen the first time. Oh no. 3 separate times this happened. And the website either behaved similarly than before, or it would only have like a minimal window for people to put the controller in their carts and quickly go through the payment menu just to even get into the order confirmation. Only for it to sell out literally after a few hours for no reason whatsoever. This controller especially was scalped to death after the N64 controllers were in stock, literally making it a nightmare for any person who wanted to play N64 games just like they did when they were back in the late 90s, when they were kids or teenagers, just for its intended controller on the Switch to pay hundreds of dollars just for that controller alone. And so now comes the Xenoblade 3 release date trailer. And right at the very end, we see the special edition for the game. It didn't have any interesting stuff, however, but a steelbook and an art book. There were no music CDs or vinyls, flash drives, anything cool inside of it, or anything like the previous Xenoblade special editions. Nintendo eventually tweeted out the special edition, and take a wild guess as to what is in the image. The special edition will be available exclusively on the My Nintendo store. Follow at Nintendo America on Twitter for updates on availability. That's right, folks. Nintendo is putting the special edition for Xenoblade 3 on their crappy website, which never had pre-orders for a special edition sold on it before. And you know what the worst part is after that announcement? They never gave us an update on when they will be available until a month and a half later. Japan's pre-orders opened right after the trailer was announced. Why was not the rest of the world like that, Nintendo? This led to many fans posting memes on why there just hasn't been an update on the special edition yet. Nintendo of UK and Europe have actually made you sign for email alerts as to when Xenoblade 3 special edition pre-orders would open up. And guess which region didn't do that? I had to wait and wait and wait until over a month of no updates. Then Nintendo tweeted out that the next day, the Xenoblade 3 special editions will open up tomorrow, with only 2 items per customer this time, which many fans saw would help on cutting down the eBay scalpers. This soon was followed by Nintendo Australia and New Zealand starting at 12 PM the following day. And with that, all Xenoblade fans rejoiced. Nintendo finally gave us a chance to give them a lot of money, all for perhaps the special edition of their most highly anticipated game over the summer. It didn't go as planned, and it was much, much, much worse. It was the morning of June 8th. I luckily had that week off work because I was about to start my new job the following week. I was getting myself ready to get to my laptop when around 11:15 a.m., the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition page changed from the Releasing TBH button to the red pre-order button. It was at least 5 minutes later until I realized this. Nintendo didn't even make an announcement until 15 minutes later, but as soon as people clicked on the page, it immediately went to this screen, the My Nintendo Store queue screen, or as Nintendo calls it, the waiting room, meaning that people were already flocking to the page to pre-order before this announcement even happened, which brought up a page showing that there's already too much traffic coming to this one page. Luckily for me, I quickly turned on my laptop and went to the special edition page to hit the pre-order button. I clicked it once, and it didn't do anything. I tried again, and then said item over limit. I only clicked on the button only a couple more times, which I found that very strange. So then I went to the dreaded cart icon, and I was met with this. I wasn't signed into my account. Luckily the store remembered I bought something and left it nice and tight in the cart. Well, that turned out to be false because when I went to click on the login button, it did absolutely nothing. The login system was bugged, and I could not go to the purchasing screen because of that. But it turns out, this bug happens that even though you are signed in, the website treats you as being signed out to minimize traffic. And that was a poor decision, right, Nintendo? So I went back to the special edition page, and I was met by the same queue screen everyone was having. And I was thinking, you know what? This isn't so bad. Nintendo will recognize that I can log in, and I still will buy the special edition. I mean, the special edition was in the card that I logged out from. Perhaps a few more hours, I can actually make the purchase. Until this happened. This is Wario, a character that will lay down in Xenoblade infamy. Whenever there's maintenance that needs to be done in the store, this greedy bastard would show up and taunt you with this message. The My Nintendo Store is currently undergoing maintenance. Please check back soon, and thank you for your understanding. Wahahahahaha! Yep, Wario meant you weren't getting into this page anytime soon, because Nintendo is supposedly working on the traffic flow issues. When in reality, there is a huge outage in the Nintendo network system that is causing these random bugs such as the login bug. And then I thought, I wasn't going to get this, am I? Everyone else in my friend groups weren't getting this either. And we were stuck on the perpetual loop of waiting and waiting and waiting. All for Wario to fix himself up and be able to purchase what we can. So it was around 3 PM at this time, and no one still was able to make a successful purchase. In fact, the login bugs seemed to be fixed, but I noticed my card was still grayed out soon after. And when I tried Googling the link to go to the card page, guess what it brought up? Another dang queue screen! This wasn't going anywhere. No progress was made, and Nintendo still hasn't updated us on the maintenance updates. And if there will be another time to pre-order a special edition from them. I was growing very tired at that point. I pretty much spent half of my day trying to order the special edition, trying to find workarounds for this damn queue page, but to no avail. It wasn't until the Twitter account called Wario64 posted an effective workaround to successfully purchase the special edition. but only during a short time window. You see, I tried this method shortly after Wario64 posted this, because if you search the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition on the store page, you can add the Special Edition to the wish list by clicking on that little heart icon. If you were able to get to your wish list page, which will take another few minutes, you can click on the Learn More button, and it will immediately take you to the pre-order page, not having to go through the queue whatsoever. And the pre-order button functions as it needs to. It wasn't until you have to go to another page to be able to pre-order. And that's when I absolutely lost it. You see, the link Wario64 posted actually took you to a 404 page to Nintendo's old store, where you can hover over the card icon. It actually has a drop-down menu like I mentioned previously. Well, that link brings up a maintenance page, but no Wario in sight. Instead, it's just this white void of nothing. Sometimes it would show the proper text, other times it would not. But basically, what this meant is, we are all screwed. There's nothing going past this great card icon, and I will forever stay in cart limbo. At the same time, though, people were successful with Wario 64's method and got the special edition. But a lot of people weren't. And soon after that, special edition pre-orders were sold from scalpers on eBay for over 4 times the original MSRP, which is ridiculous, because Nintendo explicitly made it so only 2 per person. But they didn't stop the scalpers and their outrageous spam bots. The whole situation pretty much became a complete disaster. I couldn't get a special edition at the end, and like 4 of my friends were able to get one. Just a humiliating experience. All because Wario himself would just get his butt together and fix his website. And then at freaking 9:49 p.m., about 10 hours from the previous update, Nintendo finally made an update on the situation. They apologized, quote unquote, to people for being unable to pre-order, and they will, quote unquote, investigate and work toward resolving this issue. What a way to treat your customers, Nintendo. You've done this all the time by trying to apologize and investigate, but this was just a slap to everyone's back for basically wasting everyone's time because you couldn't be prepared to get your website working. Screw the hell off, Nintendo. They mentioned the special edition will be made available again at a later date. Oh boy, keep yourselves updated again, people. And that other people who are experiencing issues purchasing physical Nintendo products will be resolved ASAP. Otherwise known as, we'll wait until later that week to get that website back up and running. Because when people were even buying digital games, like the new TMNT game, they were greeted with Wario as well. What a complete trash heap of a website you have, Nintendo. And a complete waste of a Xenoblade fan's time and resources. All to mostly amount to nothing. And we're waiting until special edition pre-orders come back up again. Pretty soon, Australia and New Zealand pre-orders went up. And guess what happened? The website was completely fine. No issues whatsoever here. All because people knew when pre-orders were going to be up, and there being not a lot of people in Australia in general. I was not only jealous, but disgusted. That Nintendo America store was the only store that had these issues, and they pretend they weren't expecting as much, all for them to lose in the end because there was a lot of demand for this game. And according to someone on Reddit, apparently Nintendo's a lot of special editions already. It's just that their website is just utter garbage that they can't let people even purchase their freaking products. Why can't I give you my money, Nintendo? But wait! Nintendo made an announcement on June 29th that pre-orders are going back up tomorrow. This time, you will automatically be placed in the queue screen, and you are only allowed 1 per order. Oh boy, another day to crash the Nintendo site again. As it seemed that Nintendo had basically learned nothing by not putting a timeout for when pre-orders begin and end. More on that later. But making everyone sit in an awful queue screen for hours on end, just waiting to get their special edition in, doesn't seem very right to me. It's June 30th, I was unfortunately at my new job this time. I was using my phone to pre-order the special edition, and I had to go through crappy 4G LTE internet. But once pre-orders went up at around 1:30 p.m., which Nintendo, that was more than 2 hours after the previous instance came up. Make up your mind! Anyways, as expected, I was sitting in the dreaded queue screen, but this time I felt it wasn't that problematic. Sure, you got the weird refreshing stuff going on in the background, but I think it did the job slightly better in my opinion. But I wish there was some sort of way to know how long you must wait on the screen, which we'll get to that later too. So 20 minutes later, I made it past the queue screen and I was on the pre-order page. But there was a big problem. The pre-order button was loading. I've never seen it do this until now. The price and my Nintendo account profile picture were all grayed out. I thought it was another logging in situation though, and that Nintendo would fix this within the next hour or so. But no, I was on here for 2 hours. Luckily I left work and drove home soon after I was stuck on this screen, and hopefully I'll have a better chance on my laptop. But I was still stuck on that queue screen, with multiple tabs open even. And the card also had a queue screen going on as well, but at least it wasn't grayed out like last time, and not have to type out the card into Google and just be on a queue screen anyways. So then I waited, and waited, and waited. But then, at 4:10 p.m., this happened. Nintendo was already out of stock of the special edition pre-orders. At that point, I was livid. Nintendo gave us not even 3 hours for us to pre-order. On my end, I was on the pre-order page, but when I went to click in pre-order, it didn't do anything. It didn't even show up in my cart. I lost all hope at that point. So many of my other friends were successful at getting their pre-orders in before this even happened to me. It was perhaps the worst feeling I felt in a long time. It was pretty much all over. Until the queue screen went back up on the special edition pre-orders. There was still a chance for me this time. A half hour later, I was past the queue screen. I hit the pre-order button, and guess what? It actually worked.
What?
There was something in my cart now. Luckily, I had the cart pulled open on my phone, so I don't have to go through yet another queue screen to get to it. And wouldn't you know it, I was able to make a purchase. I put all my information in, hit the red purchase button, and
Success!
I finally got what I came here from, this god-awful website. I checked my orders page, and it was in there all while it was still processing. I checked my bank account and saw that indeed there was money that got taken out of it. And an hour afterwards, I got a confirmation email, which told me I was totally locked in. Then, many others became more successful at getting their pre-orders in, but have to go through the same atrocious fake-out method Nintendo did to me, and many others. Funny how things turn around sometimes. So now what? What can Nintendo do to be able to smoothly have people pick up pre-orders on the very first day and onwards? Number one is to put out a time for when pre-orders go up. Like I said before, Nintendo of Australia and New Zealand did this by having an exact time to start pre-ordering. Why on earth can't Nintendo of America do the same thing? They basically put out the pre-orders at a very unspecified time, but then people who came in the store early to pre-order the special edition were screwed because of the store littered with bugs when they went to purchase the special edition. One important thing to do, Nintendo, next time you put out these pre-orders are to let everyone know up front when they'll be available, and about what time they expect pre-orders to come up. Next is to keep people updated every 2 to 3 hours on what the situation is over on their end. Instead of just waiting at the very end of the day, where an hour after the link to the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition pre-orders are, you actually make an update. Nintendo is very notorious about what their own website is experiencing issues, and won't let anyone know a specific time frame this is going to be coming back up. But Nintendo is trying to get with the times and improve on how things should be. Which leads me to my next point. Update the damn queue page. It's good that you're taking measures to prevent heavy traffic to a specific page, so it won't go down into maintenance mode. But it is far from perfect. You need to have a number in the queue, or a time frame that you will be able to pre-order something, or that you can quickly make a purchase. Don't just leave us hanging. All to go see Mr. Wario, then you have to go back to the queue again.
Yeah!
You have to let your buyers know where they are, and when they'll be able to access a page without going into the queue. This only applies to the June 30th pre-orders, but Nintendo, what the heck is going on with these fake-out tactics? Are you playing with my emotions before Xenoblade 3 even came out? What is wrong with you? Just stopping the pre-orders like that and suddenly putting up the queue page and having them back up again? Is this just to get people off the page? I'm still trying to figure out why you did this, because not only did you close pre-orders like that, but when people went to their cart and saw the item was out of stock, this made it incredibly frustrating to your customers. My advice is, I feel like this should have been done so quickly. Like I mentioned, it was not even 3 hours that you started pulling this awful fake out tactic. Could you have waited like maybe 6 hours afterwards? That way, people will just give up and try again later, letting more people have a chance at it. It's more about finding the right human balance, especially since people were working during that time when pre-orders were going, and they didn't have a chance to pre-order before their work ended. Something like that would make the fake-out tactics less of a problem on everyone's end. And lastly, if you're selling physical products, Nintendo, make sure to have a way for your customers to easily purchase them from your cart. The Xenoblade Special Edition is one of your expensive products you're offering, and not being able to have a less stressful means to getting into your cart is very much needed. I mean, you were able to do this before with your older website, and like Amazon, like any other website before, it has a freaking drop-down menu or something on the sidebar to let you purchase a product without going to the cart page. Why is suddenly the role reversed now? You can't just have your cart all grayed out so no one can access the cart page and purchase your freaking product. There should be at least a short queue screen and nothing else. Oh man. Everything that happened on June 8th and June 30th was not only a complete waste of time for me and everyone else, but shows that Nintendo is just so incompetent at selling their own products for a digital storefront. Your only direct means for making sales off of your customers without having to pay retail stores to have a special edition out for them. I saw a lot of people say that Nintendo should actually do that and have those retail stores take care of demanding traffic there. But I very much doubt Nintendo do that, because they want to make as much money off of people as possible. But they just fail and fail and fail at doing these things. Nintendo, everyone has tried to give you a chance at being more competent with your storefront. But because of you dumbing down your store, having some of the worst experiences at keeping items in stock, having the most ineffective queue screen, no updates for your customers as to how maintenance is going, choosing to outright take down your store pages without upfront notice, having to fake people out when they've been waiting for almost 3 hours on the same two screens, having one of the most coveted special editions this year be exclusive to your website only, and forever making Wario the real enemy Xenoblade 3 was hinting at all this time. Do you even know how to do fucking customer service?